Welcome back, everybody, to the Nevin Shapiro Show. I'm Mike Tirado. I'm here with Nevin Shapiro. And today, we're going to get into a couple topics about Lane Kiffin. We're going to do a Cam Ward update. And we're going to get into a couple things about Zayquan Patterson, talking about Mario. And we're going to end with the Sports Hall of Fame new inductee. So before the video starts, please click that subscribe button. We are now sponsored by BTN Connect, powered by Athlete Narrative. The link will be in the description below. Please click on it and check them out. And as always, let's get into the action. I want to get into this whole Lane Kiffin situation that appeared over the weekend. He went on the Pivot podcast and kind of mocked Mario and staff about paying Carson Beck this $4.3 million evaluation. His comments was, did he watch the game versus us? Do you agree with Lane Kiffin? And if so, why?
Lane Kiffin trolls by nature. That's who he is. He did it with his ex-boss, Nick Saban, who's arguably the GOAT, at least in the conversation. So I don't think Lane Kiffin holds any punches. He also doesn't get along with Mario Cristobal. They don't like each other. It's well known. They've had issues when they were both coaching at Alabama. And from what I've been told, it became very personal. He's free to say whatever he wants. That's his opinion.
Yeah, but do you agree with it?
Do I agree? I don't agree with the amount of money that's being paid to these kids. I think it's just silly. Honestly, I don't think that's a Mario Cristobal problem. I think that's an NCAA problem. Is Carson Beck deserving of $4.3 million? If that in effect is if that's really the number, we don't really know. I don't know anyway. I think that's a lot of money to pay a kid in general. And you have other needs. I think they could have, like I've said, spent that money elsewhere and split it up and still gotten a really good quarterback. Do I think Carson Beck is going to... I really hope he is what they're paying for. I do. I don't hope he's not. I hope he is. But Lane Kiffin is a troller. Not surprised. Comical. It's entertaining.
Right.
And it's his opinion.
Sure. No. And Ryan Clark even took it a step further and actually went directly at Mario Cristobal, claiming that the Nico Lamanlava situation was Mario Cristobal's doing because he's the one that paid a quarterback now for the first time this kind of amount of money per se. And he's causing other quarterbacks around the country to now ask for these astronomical amounts. What's your comments to that?
I don't think Ryan Clark is accurate in that assessment of Mario. Like, I'm going to rag on what I feel is not proper about Mario as I see it. But that's some petty shit. And I don't think you can blame Mario Cristobal for the amount of money Nico Lamanlava, or whatever his name is requesting. And I think that's just flat out irresponsible, that statement. I don't believe it. I don't agree with it. And I'm not going to sit here and bash Mario on that. Mario could, listen, if you have it, spend it. What's a good deal for someone who's got money? So let's just look in life. What's a good deal for someone who's got money? Whatever you think the market bears. If Mario Cristobal has unlimited coffers, he can do what the fuck he wants with what he has. He can set his own market. Is he destroying the quarterback market? I don't know. How do the Cleveland Browns look paying Deshaun Watson $230 million after he came off of multiple sexual assault allegations? I mean, did they destroy the quarterback market? I don't know. Like, the market just moves. And you just keep up with it. This is an NIL problem. This is an NCAA problem. This is not a Mario Cristobal problem.
No, I agree. I
back Mario and on that, and he don't have to apologize for what he spends or how he spends it or whatever. But he better spend it right as a fan, right? Don't get DJ Uiagalelei.
Yeah, exactly.
Who, by the way, I think is still going to be a good quarterback at the NFL level. But all right.
Really?
Yeah, that's another conversation.
Give me just like a 30-second snippet on why.
I think he's really good. I think he's got broken confidence, ended up in not such a good situation. I think when Clemson lost their offense coordinator, Tony Elliott, that changed things up on him. I think he's better than what he shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's get into this Carson Beck now. You know, Mario came out and said that he's soft tossing now with the receivers, and within the next couple of weeks, he's going to be able to go full blown.
When I hear soft tossing and full blown, just the wrong things come to mind.
So he
You
did.
were saying?
Oh, I get it. So I'm going to change my verbiage here.
Okay.
He lightly was throwing the football now, okay, with the receivers, and he will be a full go in a couple of weeks. Is that better?
Sounds like he's about to become an alpha dog.
Yeah. Oh, God. Here we go. That puts him now at 4 months from a timeline to where we play Notre Dame. With now we know like the actual timeline. Do you believe that 4 months is enough time for him to get that timing down with the receivers and learn the playbook and be ready?
I can tell you this, Mike. I'm not a doctor, but I've played doctor. I sure fucking hope so. You know where I stand on this matter. August 31st, if you can't throw, start strengthening your left hand and get ready to fucking toss it southpaw. I don't care if he can get his timing down. He's got 4 months. August 31st, be there. Pain or no pain. Throw your fucking arm out.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know. Can he get his timing down? I don't think we've heard the last of coaching moves and personnel moves. I just don't. So I think there's a lot to be answered between now and that day.
Interesting.
I just hope Carson Beck is healthy. I hope he can let him come out and play. Miami's offense can be very, very explosive and has the potential to be excellent. That defense is going to leave everything to finish up what Miami is this year.
Yeah.
Miami's offense is going to score. They're going to score. If Carson Beck's not there for some reason, I think there's big problems. By the time we do our next show, I don't think Emory Williams will be here. That doesn't mean I know.
Right.
It's just I just can't see what he's staying around for.
Yeah, I don't either.
And that's it. And that's like if I was his dad, I'd feel that way. So I don't have a preference or a dog in this fight, but I just can't see him being here by the time we do our next show.
So let me ask you a follow-up to that. Carson Beck comes in game one. Let's just say they take an L. He doesn't look good. We go on and we play Florida. We take another L. Like, what would be the tipping point for you? Like, to where you say, like, okay, this guy's not it. Like, let's change a direction. Like, is there a tipping point, or you just ride this guy out the whole year?
I don't see. You better hope he rides it out. He might just be like, fuck it, I got paid, I'm out.
That's definitely an issue.
DJ Uiagalelei, not to bring him back, but like they were 0-3 Florida State. Then he mysteriously got a thumb injury. Was that because he hurt his thumb, or because they said with their thumb, you're gone? Right?
Yeah.
So Carson Beck, I don't know. I mean, man, September is everything for Miami.
It is.
And I'm just saying August 31st is September 1.
Right.
Man, September is everything for Miami. You're going to know Miami by October 4 or 5 when they play Florida State. That's it. You're going to know what you got. You're going to know what you have. Yep. They should beat South Florida, and they should beat Bethune-Cookman.
Yep.
Right? We both know those are two games that are very, very, they're expected beatdowns, right? You're going to know where Miami is right after first week in October.
Yeah.
You're going to have a very good litmus test on where you stand and where you're going.
And I see a lot of the fan base on, social media. Everybody is really harping on the offense, and I don't agree to this point. I don't think it has anything to do with our offense this year. Like you said, I think our offense should be fine. The defense is going to be everything. That's really what's going to put Miami in a different spectrum.
So we're filming this right now on Monday, right? And so there's a lot of visits that are lined up for kids in the portal. And here's my one observation that I've come to over the weekend, just watching, because, I monitor what's going on, who's coming in for visits. And this is something that I personally don't like. That doesn't mean it's the wrong method, because this is today's world with the transfer portal. But one thing I don't like is every guy that comes available, all the Miami fans, you should come to Miami. Like Miami's the only country in America, or the only university in America to offer NIL money. There's a lot of schools out there. And how do you build camaraderie and chemistry by just adding 5 to 6 guys every portal. It's very difficult to do. Like, you look at that 2001 team that culminated. Of course, we're going back time, we know. But you look at that era, and they were getting beat up in the late 98, coming off probation, 98, 90. Butch's first years, they were getting, man, things were really lean. But they developed an exterior, right? And we beat UCLA. Edgerrin had that, like, almost 300-yard game running. And that was, like, the real turning point of the program. And then when we were officially back is when we beat Florida State in that 2000 games. And you knew, like, the whole recovery was there. You can't do that in today's world of NIL. It's just not practical. And I just keep watching Miami. What I'd rather see is you get local kids, Zayquan Patterson, Chaminade Madonna. You get guys like that, the Leonard Taylors of the world, the James Williams, American Heritage. You get guys like that, and you turn them into stars, but you retain them. You retain them. You build a core, and it's retention. And now you got something special. And now you're looking at a juggernaut. That's how dynasties are built, not by adding 10, 12 players every week. It's a cut-down situation. I went to the FAU spring game 2 weeks ago with someone that we both know. And, you know, I'm still learning like everyone else with this new landscape. And he told me that like 30 or 40 of these guys weren't going to be here in 2 weeks. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, there's going to be a cut down and then an addition. I'm like, this is like an NFL roster cut. Is that what the NCAA system was intended to be?
Never.
I don't think so. And I don't like where the game has gone. The game is incredible. Don't get me wrong. The game is incredible. We're going to watch it from 7 a.m. until 2 a.m. every Saturday. And when it runs out, we're going to be sick. But I don't like where the game is. Healthy-wise, financially, it's in a great spot. I just don't like the way the narrative has changed. It's just not good, man, long term. And a lot of kids are not getting developed. So many guys are jumping into the portal. Mike, if I told you you see a lot of my, if not all of my social media, more so than me. But there's a lot of comments or dialogue I have with parents of players and coaches, and they're reaching out to me like, what do I do? And the whole reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of these guys were 4-star, maybe not a lot of them 5-star because there's only so many of that rating, but many 3 stars and a lot of 4 stars. And they can't find a home. Meanwhile, they could have asked for the moon coming out of high school. Now they don't even have a seat at the table. And it's just bad, man. It's really, really bad. And it's not a sustainable system. And even worse, it's just not good for the student athlete. I don't even like to call them student athletes because they're really just professionals now. But it's just not good for the athletes. Yeah, maybe you'll get a little bit of scratch early. But that scratch better last you a lifetime if you're not going next level. And then what?
Right.
There's so many things wrong with this system that it's just, you can't talk about it anymore. The action has to be done.
Yeah, we'll see with this new structure, hopefully.
It's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's a Band-Aid.
Yep.
Horses out of the barn. It's really bad.
So let's get into this Zayquan Patterson situation that just kind of arose over the weekend. You know, obviously on our last show, we talked about how he had transferred and he's in the portal now. But he really came out and lashed at Mario specifically, stating that he's letting the upperclassmen stay late with no reprimand, and he's giving reps to people with horrible work ethic. He feels disrespected. Does a comment like that raise more concern that, you know, to what's going on internally right now?
To some degree, in the respect that, like I shared on our last podcast, when you have bad fallout from the local powerhouses, it's just not good. And I don't like that he's from one of these feeding grounds that is so important to this school's program success. I don't like it. Some kids, you know, you got some some comments are made and you got to take it, tongue in cheek, bitterness or whatever it is. But to some degree, where there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe there's some validity. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not there. When I give my opinion, it's based on the things that we're told, and you're, for the most part, in my circle now, and you see what I'm told and who I get it from and where it comes from. And, like, all this shit's going to go to the side, man, based on success or lack of. That's it. It's just brass tacks, man.
Right.
Like we can nitpick between now and, however many shows we're going to do between now and the time the season's here. But the truth is, the results are going to dictate what this fan base feels, says, does, reacts, whatever. It's all about dubs.
It is. And the point that, when I read it, sometimes it gets me like, or I'm like, okay, at least now the fan base can see it from a player. Because what we read about and what I read sometimes in the comments is when you open your mouth and you say something, it's not true. He's hating. He hates Miami.
I don't hate. I love Miami.
And that's my point is now a player's coming out and saying this about Mario.
Why would I hate Miami? If you see my comment, well, you do.
Yeah.
All day. Do I talk shit against every single other program?
Yep.
Is there another place you'd rather be than down here? No.
Nope.
I wouldn't, but that's me.
But everything you just had the Uncle Luke.
Some guy just made a comment to me about Ohio is in my head. I promise you it's not. There's nothing I fucking care for in that state.
That's for sure.
You can count on it.
Yep. And you guys just did the Luther Campbell podcast. Yeah. And, obviously Luke has his own feelings about Mario. And he's a current head coach, high school head coach. So he kind of knows a little bit more on what's going on.
Yeah.
So, we try and tell the fan base and be honest with them about what's happening with Mario and staff. And, when stuff like this comes out, that's why I'm saying I think it validates it a little bit better so that they don't think you're just spewing bullshit, all the time.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
I'll never spew. If I make comments and jokes and this and that, it's just me being me and being self-deprecating and this and that. You know what I mean? I'm no fucking hero in life. You know what I mean? Like, we all got our issues and flaws and whatever it is, but you can't tell me I don't know what's going on. I have a very good idea. My pulse is pretty strong to what's going on. And as far as Luke goes, so let me make a comment about Luke. A lot of people get into their feelings about Luke because of maybe some of his political views or other views. Let's not mix this up. Luther Campbell has a lot of knowledge about what's going on inside this University of Miami program and what should be going on within this program. Let me just say it. Luke's been a part of this for a long time. Luke knows better than anyone what a Miami guy looks like and should look like. And furthermore, he's now a high school coach who's Miami's needing of some of his talent. So if Luke's speaking, there's validity to it as it relates, and I'm not talking about whatever some of his other views are, as it relates to the University of Miami football program. I would adhere to some of the things he says or take notice. Why wouldn't you?
That's the horse's mouth.
Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And that's just my opinion. And, Luke and I had our thing real quick, whatever. It was what it was. It came and went. But those are the facts. Right. Like, I grew up cheering for Luke. You're too young. I grew up cheering for him. He repped us, man. He repped us. And he continues to. But now he's in a different seat. Yeah. He's got to do what's right for his players and make sure they get taken care of. And if he comes out against Mario or the staff regarding Ray Joseph, that's his player. And so that's an extension of, like, being a dad. And, to one of your kids or, an additional parent.
Right.
And I would take heed to it. If I was Mario, I'd do everything in my power to make sure my relationship is very strong with Luther Campbell if I'm the University of Miami head coach or coaches.
Absolutely.
Just my opinion. And that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean anyone has to do shit. I got no business dealings with Luke. We're really cool. We're in a good place where we are. And we both have a common love for the program.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
We want to see it ascend and be what it is.
Of course. Of course. So let's move on from this topic and close with a couple of these. Cam Ward, draft is this week coming up. Do you see any other movement on the horizon with what's going on with Cam Ward?
I'll go back to December 10th, Pac-Man Jones podcast. I said Cam Ward will be the first pick of the draft. He's absolutely going to the New York Giants. I got it. The hardest part, right? Giants won a game. So now they don't get the number one pick. Cam Ward's still going number one. Tennessee was asking for 3 number one picks, which was ludicrous. And no one was giving it up. And there were efforts, and the Jets came in. They were trying hard. Giants never gave up until about 2 weeks ago. And from what I was told, and he's going to Tennessee, and, you know, they're going to have a really good quarterback, and I'm a Cam Ward fan. You know that.
Right.
I want to see nothing but can't wait for him to get his $200 million contract.
Yeah. So your intel was, as of 2 weeks ago, is when they stopped pursuing Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Tennessee wasn't budging, and no one was going to give them what they're asking.
Yeah. And they offered this to not only the Giants.
They wanted a Trey Lance type haul, quote unquote.
Yeah.
What San Fran gave up to get Trey Lance.
That didn't work out.
No.
No, it didn't. So let's close with this topic. And this was a touchy one, I know, for you from a personal level, just because of the relationships that you have with some of these players.
Yeah.
One of the newest members, or the newest member, it was just actually 2 days ago that they did the Sports Hall of Fame induction. Jerome McDougal got inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. Yep.
I love Doogie. He was one of the original guys that I was really, really close with. That whole trio, him, Andrew Williams, and Cornelius Green. Love Doogie.
And so what we did over the weekend is we compared stats to the guys that were on that early 2000s defensive line. So we looked at William Joseph, we looked at Vince Wilfork, and the guys. William Joseph by far had better stats from total tackles, sacks.
If you just let me take the mantle on this,
Go ahead.
I'm really happy to do so.
Go ahead, take it.
Now, let me just start by saying I love Jerome McDougal personally, and as a football fan, I'm a huge fan of his. I think he did a great job. He had an unfortunate situation in Philadelphia with a shooting incident he was the victim of, and it derailed his NFL career. But as it relates to getting into the University of Miami Hall of Fame, I applaud him, and I'm happy. This is not a stance against Jerome McDougal in any way. This is me speaking out on behalf of William Joseph. And why do I do so? You know, we we get along great with that guy. But he came into the University of Miami at a time when we were really horrible, right? We were really, really bad, coming off probation. And he was part of that initial core, the Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Ed Reed. Like, when we went from chumps to champs. And let me just read off a couple things. 19 and a half sacks, right? 7 forced fumbles, 10 pass breakups, 1 interception for the big guy, 47 tackles for loss, 200 tackles, 51 consecutive starts, including the bowl games, which would make it 51. From a freshman to a senior. Should have come out, cost himself 20 spots in the draft, and probably 20 more million, maybe, if not more. He was a freshman All-American. He was a first-team All-American as a junior, and then became a third-team All-American as a senior, only because now they were 8-9 deep. So the rotation, it just didn't allow him to be that all guy. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? Can somebody who's watching this, because he had a legal incident? William Joseph is no criminal. He's a good guy. But more importantly, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. There's guys with lesser statistic ability or less statistics who are in it. He's not. He is a 4-time starter, 4-year starter.
Yeah.
At the University of Miami.
I see it as a political thing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just know that his ass should be in that fucking thing.
Yeah.
Okay? And certainly I would say from anyone from that line, and that includes a guy that's going to the Hall of Fame. He should have been in first before anyone on that line. No knock on Jerome. I love Jerome. No knock. But no one could tell me that someone had a more decorated career than William Joseph off that line.
It was really...
And I'm not, I told you, let's do this segment.
Yes.
Someone has to rep him. That's me. That's it.
Absolutely.
And he deserves to be in, and whoever listens, if anyone's listening, who handles that thing, put that kid in. He deserves to be there.
Absolutely.
There's guys with lesser resumes that are in.
We looked at the whole line. The whole line had a lesser resume. Put him in. Yeah, definitely.
And before you finish, Mike, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Something very, very special. So special that my co-host here does not even know what I have planned. But I'm going to give you a prelude. These LSU fans of that 2019 team, they've really, really gotten on my last nerve. So I think I got to really make an emphatic point. I'm going to do it Thursday.
On our next
show. I hope you're ready.
Well, you guys heard it here. Our next show, I don't even know what it is. It's going to be something crazy. So before you guys leave, please click that subscribe button. Follow Athlete Narrative, BTN Sports. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.